Alright, this is Diego Accord here, and the ramblings of a bored guy. And today I'm going to be talking about the possible plans for the trip to Japan. So, the last video I did, I believe, was the video where I was talking about the purchase of the tickets and whatnot, because that was a bit more involved of a process than the first time. So, I mean, the first time I still talked about it, me coming to the idea, the conclusion that going to Japan was a thing to do. But buying the tickets was straight up because at that time, I just randomly decided to look on Google Flights. Prices were pretty good, and I just chose the airline that had the best itinerary as far as arrival and departure times, and that ended up being Delta. I was in premium economy, and that price was only like 1050 or 1080 or something like that, and everything was good. I think economy would have been like $750 to $800 at the time. So this time there was a lot more, which I discussed prices and airlines, because a lot of airlines have worse everything since COVID apparently. So going with a US based airline just was not going to be a thing. Plus I was going to have to be, in order to get the same price, I was now going to have to drop down to economy, which I did. So when going to Japan, that meant that I had to go with ANA or JAL, and of course I ended up going with ANA. And with that flight, it's a United booked flight. Initially I made a mistake where it was a ticket sold by ANA, but United plane flying the international leg. And it did have a great itinerary, a better itinerary than I have now, but I had to cancel that ticket because I did not want to fly United for that international leg. So the domestic leg, whoever, it's whatever, because from here, CVG, I was going to have to take a domestic carrier to get to whatever location I was going to fly out of, regardless if I was taking JAL or ANA. So, but I wasn't going to fly all the way to the West Coast on an American or a US based airline and then go to Japan, with that shorter haul. So, I ended up having a pretty weird thing where I'm going to EWR, which is Newark, New Jersey, and then I've got to transfer myself to JFK, and then I go on ANA to Japan. So I'm going east and then west to get there. And I'm also coming into Tokyo. Now, ideally, I would have come into Osaka because, the reason that I'm even going back to Japan is a couple things I gotta do. Go to the car manufacturer museums, and also make sure I get to Kyoto and Osaka as well. Now, the thing about those museums, one of them is over in Hiroshima, and that would be Mazda. I really don't want to go all the way to Hiroshima just for one, but I mean, I have the time, so it really just kind of doesn't matter, so I'll do it. And I don't want to have anything to say like, oh man, I really wish I would have done that, because when I leave Japan this time, I don't want to come back. Not that I have anything against Japan, but there are other places to go to. But since Japan was the first place I wanted to go, I definitely want to have everything off the bucket list before I get to enjoy other places. That's just, it's just something that I feel. So, the last time I was just mainly here, Tokyo, went here, which is not that far, obviously, and went up here to Noda. That's where you have to rent the cars from. The Evo, Omoshido, rent a car and all that stuff. So that was that. But this time, so ideally, I would have flown into Osaka because these four cities, so Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Hiroshima, it's kind of like a diamond. So you could go Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, Osaka, I said Osaka, Osaka, Tokyo, and you know, because if I go to these four cities in this order, that's how I'm gonna do it. Like, because the drive, because I'm probably gonna drive as opposed to, you know, taking any trains, you know, taking a bullet train or anything like that. I'm probably gonna drive. And so from Tokyo to Kyoto or Osaka is about 7 hours. Now, Kyoto and Osaka themselves are about 30 minutes apart, so it really doesn't matter. Hiroshima is about 4 more hours from either of these two cities. So, what, you know, ideally it would have been come to Osaka, go to Hiroshima, then go to Kyoto, and then Kyoto to Tokyo, which breaks up the drive a little bit because, you know, you could do Osaka, Kyoto, Hiroshima, then all the way back to Tokyo to leave, which, you know, going from Hiroshima all the way to Tokyo, that's 11, 12 hours or something like that. So that's why I don't want to do that, like, regardless. Like I said, I am coming into Tokyo. And the reason I did that was for pricing. Like, for some reason, doing 2 tickets, because, you know, I would have to book it as 2 tickets. So from here to Osaka and then Tokyo home, it was way more for some reason. So, you know, I'm just like, all right, just Tokyo, we'll just do Tokyo. So it's gonna be Tokyo to one of these cities. Like, I don't really care which one I go to first. So Tokyo, and of course I'll be going to the automotive manufacturers museums. There's like I said, most of them are within the Tokyo area or close. I think Toyota's is around here somewhere. It's not that far from here. So I get to all of those between going to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, and back. And then I get to Mazda's by going to Hiroshima. So it'll be Tokyo, let's say Kyoto, then Hiroshima, and then Osaka, and then back to Tokyo. And that's how I'm gonna do it. I haven't decided which of these Tokyo or Kyoto and Osaka comes first. It really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. So, and other than that, I mean, like, there are no plans. Like, I don't have a place to stay settled in any of the cities. I don't, yeah, I mean, it's like, I kind of just haven't been thinking about it. I mean, I have, but I haven't. I don't want to have like some kind of itinerary where I'm like, oh, I gotta do this and I gotta do that. Now, I did speak about it in a video where I should have had some stuff planned the last time, because that probably would have gotten me to most of these automotive museums and out to Kyoto and Osaka the last time. Like, Hiroshima wouldn't have been a thing. I definitely wouldn't have done that. And it's still just like thinking about driving that far, even from Tokyo to these two. But another thing is the 7 hours from Tokyo to basically the middle. Well, it's not even nearly the middle, but from Tokyo to these cities. I get two. I get 2 for 1 if I were just going to these cities. But unfortunately, I'm not. So, that. I don't know. But driving. See, here at home, driving is a chore. I also have cars that make driving long distances not that fun as well. But highway driving is just a chore. I'm not a person that hates to drive because I rented cars in Japan and non-drivers don't rent cars in right-hand drive countries. It's like, oh, I'm so scared to do that and so different. I'm not that kind of person, but I do hate driving when it comes to places that I absolutely that I feel like I have to go. But that's also because of how things are here. At home, you just gotta get on the highway, and the highway fucking sucks. Shitty drivers. Like I said, my cars are a chore to drive because, if I was driving an Evo, it has notoriously short gears, so, highway speeds are 4,000 RPMs at the top of fifth. And there's noise. Mustang is catless. Doesn't even really have exhaust. It has long tubes that are catless that dump. And I've driven that on a long trip, and it is a chore. Driving a regular car, less of a chore, but also still mind-numbingly boring to just drive a long distance on the highway. So, even here in Japan, I'm not really looking forward to it. And that is the reason that the trip is going to be made into a diamond pattern. So, like I said, Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, Osaka, back to Tokyo. So I don't have to do, 11, 12 hours for one trip. So, but yeah. Oh yeah, and also, if you need to know, this music that's playing is called Crossroad, and it is from Tokyo Extreme Racer 1. This music track is perfect for driving at night in Tokyo, which is what you're doing in that game. And, I listened to this music when I was there, and I knew it was going to fit as I was driving around. I just knew that this music was going to fit perfectly, and it did. Now, of course, the people that made the game, the devs, Japanese game set in Japan. That's, it's a very, at the time that it came out, it was a very niche game. A niche, well, it still is. They don't make racing games like Tokyo Extreme Racer, but especially nothing with Japanese flavor anymore like that. Since Genki stopped making games, or these racing games, what even matters anymore? Because even then, it really just, it wasn't a series that mattered. Now, I have every single game from Super Famicom all the way to the latest game on 360. I have copies, English and Japanese, depending on where it was available. Some games available in both, some games only Japanese. So I have every single title that I could have of Shotoku Battle. And that was the main reason that I did come to Japan. So, I spoke about it in a previous video where I was into the whole thing, earlier in life, but then later on, really the only motivation was man, I need to do the car stuff. I need to go on the Shudo Express and all that stuff. So Tokyo Extreme Racer had the biggest part to play in me deciding that, I think I do want to see Japan. But of course now, it's time to go back. October, gonna be there pretty much that whole month. I'm thinking about it as it is getting closer. It's a little bit more than 2 months. 2 months out. I do have to, 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 I do have to I do have to spend this time practicing some Japanese so I can do better because I mean I was all right the first time, but I don't remember anything because when the thing happened, the thing when it happened, yeah, I just kind of just didn't care, and Japan was taking their mighty sweet time opening up. So it's like, maybe they don't want to be. I mean, they probably don't. They probably wish that they could still be closed, if possible, just looking for that excuse to stay so. But those tourism dollars, they kind of want that, and only one way you can get it. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I cannot wait to get back here. So, Taito. This is where I stayed the first time. I don't know if I can even find the place that I was at. But it's like, it's gotta be here. Or it could be here. Because I know it's Nichome. So it has to be here. Mini stop. Family Mart. Where's the train station? And how far is the train station? I might be in a completely different spot, but I don't think I am. Minami Senju, that's the train station right there. Lawson. It can't be this far now. I thought I knew it was at, but I can't find it. I cannot find it on this map. I'm trying to bring it in. It sucks we weren't quite down there. And it was only a couple, like 10-minute walk away from this train station here. That's it. That's it right there. That's it. Yeah. Well, that's where we stayed the first time. Wonder is it I don't recall that view from that place. Now this was definitely there. I should have a review in here. I don't think I have any photos except for the outside, but there were already plenty of photos from on the outside. Yep, a nice little hallway. Picture Lexus IS. That wasn't there when I was there, but all that. Yep. Just all right. Memories. We don't need memories. We need to make new ones. So I'm gonna make sure that my phone is tracking location because the last time I actually didn't know that it was doing that, and I just got on Google Maps like probably a year later or something like that, and it just had all this stuff, like literally the footsteps, the driving, train rides, like everything I did, it had it, and I'm like, wow. So I just kept going back to it and looking at it, but then it just randomly just disappeared. Now, if I go into Google and look at my search history, the searches I did to get around when I was there, that is still there for some reason. However, the actual, like, when I go to the date and I try to see everything, like, none of that shit's there, which fucking irritates me. So I think Google, like, at some point they came out with something where they're like, if you don't opt in, we'll delete it after 18 months. So I think that might have been what happened. But I'm gonna make sure everything's set up, because when I go there, I want to be able to come back to this data. I want to see the trips that I took. I want to be able to remember this stuff, because like I said, I don't plan on coming back to Japan for a very long time, because there is still definitely Europe definitely Africa, definitely Australia to go to. Um, China, South Korea, I don't even know. Um, I don't know. But either way, there's still things to do. Still places to go that are not Asia. Like Asia is definitely, I have to come around in that rotation to go anywhere in Asia. So definitely, I will definitely be going to Europe, Africa, and Australia before I go to Asia again. Now, South America was not mentioned, and that is because I'm not gonna put myself in a place where injustice can possibly happen, and I don't know if I can do anything about it. Like, if I'm in, some place like Rio or something, and I'm not just sticking to the beaches like a good, you know what I mean? Like, what? I wouldn't go to any place in Latin America and just stick to like places that Americans stick to. I mean, my name is fucking Diego for a reason. But, I know that like I'm not from those particular places, and the things that can happen in those places, they're things, and that kind of, I'm like, if I'm walking around or something, like I'm not gonna stick to like the touristy places. I mean, I didn't do that stuff in Japan. I don't plan to do that anywhere. But I definitely would not do it in a Latin American country. But I know if I kept that train of thought, it's gonna put me in a place where something can happen, and I don't even want to deal with it. So that's why South America is not somewhere that I'm considering going. So that's that. That's gonna be that for this one. I'll go ahead and get it uploaded, and then I don't think I did a video talking about Tokyo Extreme Racer, so I'm actually probably gonna do a video talking about Tokyo Extreme Racer series, and that'll be possibly the last thing until it's getting time to go. I might create a new channel for that, because I'd imagine that somebody's just taking a vacation out to Japan, probably get a lot of views, and this channel is very old, obviously, and I haven't pushed it. I just do random stuff on it, but I think if I do a new channel, they're gonna automatically push it, so that'll get more views on my trip. Like, I don't care about like trying to be a YouTuber, because hey, what I do gives, lets me do this stuff. YouTube money does not let me do anything. Like, I'm not monetized anyway. So, But anyway, let me go ahead and get off of here. I actually have to put some E85 into the Mustang, and then I gotta get to sleep so I can go to work, which is what pays for this stuff here. Alright, later.